Oh, ouch. I
Oh,
just stubbed my toe.
And we're live.
Oh, hi.
We are the Doctors Who podcast.
Oh, I'm okay.
I bet you wish you could go back in time and stop yourself from doing that.
Man, if only we had a way to do that, or a plausible theory that would allow us to even consider that option.
Possibly using the quantum realm.
Maybe.
Great Scott.
Anyway, we are the Doctors Who podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Chip.
And today we're going to talk to you about, first of all, very important, beer. Secondly, as we kind of alluded to in our witty attempt to cover up my clumsy injury, we're going to be discussing Avengers Endgame. So if you have not seen it and you don't really want to be spoiled, feel free to listen up till the beer part and then just off you pop.
But then really go see the movie because it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. So for the benefit of anybody who's going to be popping in, joining us, and potentially chatting, I am going to have the live stream pulled up here in front of me so we can interact a little bit better. But in the meantime, we should probably jump right to the beer.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start. Today, The beer is Stone Brewery's Espresso Totalitarian Imperial Russian Stout.
That's a mouthful. Now, we've had an Imperial Russian Stout before.
It was Confluence, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. All right. Hey, I'm accessing the live cast.
Oh, hey, fantastic.
It seems very meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm watching myself watch us. And I'm sure I could just keep going down that rabbit hole, but I'm not going to. We do look good though.
If Chris zones out at any point, do we need to worry?
I don't know. Can we?
If he triggers himself into a coma of some sort, or I don't know.
This might be a warning to you, Chris. This
all
could
right.
cause some sort of seizure.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we talk about Russian Imperial Stouts a little bit?
Okay.
We've kind of covered them before, but apparently the internet is a little divided onto where this actually came from. As you might guess, it is actually, well, it does actually involve Russia. So I guess that makes sense. I have one source saying that it was brewed in the 18th century by Thrale's Brewery in London for export to the court of Catherine II of Russia. Then I have another source that says it was first brewed in England for Emperor Peter the Great of Russia. So I'm not sure. But anyway, these are generally higher in alcohol than traditional English stouts, generally full-bodied, rich, complex, and will often have flavors and aromas of dried fruit, coffee, and or dark chocolate. In this case, espresso. So, if we go to Stone's website and we look at the Stone Espresso Totalitarian Imperial Russian Stout.
Whew, that's a big,
it is.
Big phrase.
There's got to be an acronym in there somewhere.
Yeah.
SETIRS.
Satirs.
It comes in at 10.6%, 65 IBUs.
Potent.
Actually, that's a pretty high IBU count for
It is.
a Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah.
So there was a brewery here in the Des Moines metro. I believe it was 515 Brewing. And basically they stopped putting their IBUs on the board when you went into order. And the reasoning is that you could have something like a stout with 65. You can also have a really hoppy IPA that only has 45 or 50. So the IBU really isn't indicative of the flavor profile
Very
in
true.
some cases. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But a little bit about Stone. They were founded by Greg Koch and Steve Wagner. In 1996, they're out of San Diego. Interesting thing, they now employ more than 1,100 people.
Wow, that's a big number for a brewery.
And so They have also been awarded the all-time top brewery on planet Earth award by Beer Advocate
Wow.
2 times.
But just planet Earth.
Just planet Earth, right?
Right.
So I think that leaves us some room to maybe operate a brewery on the moon or maybe Mars.
Mars.
Oh,
We could
yeah.
talk to Elon Musk.
I
Maybe
think
he'd help us
Mars.
out with that.
Mhm.
It's
A
the
red ale from Mars. Or,
Oh, that would be
you know,
good.
It seems like
Yeah.
it's just natural.
I like it.
So Stone is the 9th largest craft brewery in the U.S. And they have breweries in Richmond, Virginia, and also Berlin, Germany. Interesting. So I think that's enough about talking. Let's do some with drinking.
All right.
All right.
So as we're cracking this open, we're going to give it a pour.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty thick, as you would expect a stout to be. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
I like my stouts to have the consistency of motor oil.
That's pretty close.
I'm going to put my can right there next to Professor Hulk. He's very thirsty. And before I dive in and taste, I'm actually going to pull up Untapped.
Oh, good
Oh,
call.
yeah, good call.
So for those of you unaware, Untapped is an app that you can get for your phone that allows you to check in the beers that you're drinking. So very easy to do. You grab the can, you scan the barcode, and it immediately...
I had to scroll to find it.
There it is.
There.
In most cases, it will bring things up. So this has been rated by 21,000 people.
Whew.
Average rating of 3.98 out of 5. I have never checked this in, and none of my friends have ever checked this in. So we are boldly going where no friend of ours has gone before.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right.
And what's your handle again?
Oh, my handle is Lcrisp. That's ELKRISP.
Mine is Brian J, BRIAN_JAY.
Nice. Mine is Chip1252.
Excellent. All right.
Shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's rich.
Yeah, very rich. Of all the stouts, I think the Russian Imperial is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got like your oatmeal stout and other stouts.
Milk stout.
Milk, thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, your breakfast stouts, your
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm a fan. The Imperials seem to be a little more bitter almost, right?
they do, and I also think they're beefier. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they have a fuller flavor
Yeah.
profile than some of their breakfast or
Yeah.
Speaking of
Very
flavor
close.
profile, why don't we
All
analyze that? So
Mm.
is this beer dark, gentlemen?
I would say both
Yeah.
in appearance and taste.
Maybe hold on.
Ooh.
Definitely dark.
Definitely dark. We'll go with that one. Is it rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Are you getting chocolate?
I don't.
I
I'm
would
not
say
personally. But
I would say a little bit of chocolate. I wouldn't say it's overpowering by
Yeah,
any means.
I'm gonna skip that one. Is it smooth?
Boy, that's a tough one. I wouldn't say it's.
I don't
wouldn't
think
say
it's smooth.
rough, but it's not smooth either.
Mm-mm.
And then the last one is coffee, which I am gonna go for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd also
Um,
say
Mine has roasty as a flavor.
roasty.
Mm.
I don't know what roasty means, but it seems like it's kind of roasty.
It kind of has that creamy sort of flavor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a freshly roasted pot of coffee.
Yeah.
Roasty's actually a good, and it's interesting that we're getting different flavor profiles.
Mhm.
I'm gonna add that one to mine. So we learned something about Untapped today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And because I like you guys, I'm gonna tag you in my check-in.
Fantastic.
Chip, Brian, and as Jean-Luc Picard would say, engage. So I unlocked Sky's the Limit level 3. It says you don't always intend to go for beers with a double-digit ABV, but when you do, you make it count. Cheers to you, but be careful. 10% and up can really pack a punch. That's 15 different beers with an ABV of 10% and up. Try 5 more for level 4.
Wow.
I also unlocked For the Can, level 11. And then Imperial Tsar. Originally created and brewed for Russian Emperor Peter the Great, the Russian Imperial Stout has a history as rich as its roasty, hoppy flavor.
Cool.
That's 5 Imperial Stouts that I've consumed. So Untapped seems to think that it was for Emperor Peter the Great as well. So
Sure.
there we go. Looks like you have some badges as well.
I unlocked a badge, Land of the Free. I've pledged allegiance, and now it's time to enjoy some beer. Now remember, not all American beer is fizzy and yellow.
That's right.
That's 5 different beers from a brewery in the United States. Try 5 more for level 2.
Perfect. What did everybody give it?
I gave it 4 1/4.
As did I.
I did as well.
It's a consensus.
Yeah.
It's good. I think the weird thing with this, and I almost gave it 4.5 just for the simple novelty of like the extra hoppiness that I'm getting from the beer. Like I've never had a beer
Yeah.
that is this full bodied, like this sort of beer with that many hops. It's just a different sort of flavor than I was expecting.
It's really weird watching us on like 3 to 5 second delay.
We're losing him.
Most babies spill my
No.
Sorry. Oh man.
Blue Shirt Picard has shown up to hang out with us, which is none
Blue
other
Shirt
than
Picard
Josh from Field of Geeks.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic.
Hey, Josh.
Hello, Josh.
Hey.
By the way, don't be knocking the Coors Banquet. All right. Anything else on the beer, or shall we get to the matter at hand?
Man, I really like this beer. Although
is
I have a
really
feeling this could go downhill very quickly with the 10.6% alcohol.
Yeah. I'm gonna
With
have to,
espresso.
cut myself off after one of these. I'm weak.
Otherwise, I'm good to go.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so we're talking about Avengers Endgame.
Which one's that?
I think it came out a couple of years ago. It didn't make much money.
No.
Very obscure. It's kind of an indie flick.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have heard of it.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Yeah. So Avengers Endgame obviously is the latest release from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And it just passed Avatar to become the second largest
Yeah.
movie at the American box office.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Second only to the
Force
Force
Awakens.
Awakens
Wow.
now, right? So
It's second worldwide behind Avatar, which is number 1 worldwide.
Right.
So.
it's a good
And it's
time
done
to be
it
Disney,
in short order too.
because Disney is Avatar as well, right?
No, that was
No?
20th Century Fox.
Oh,
Well, I guess they
yeah.
do own it. They might own it now.
They might
Now
own
they
it
might.
now.
Yeah, with
But
the merger.
Disney owns Force
Although-
Awakens too.
Although Disney does have at their Animal Kingdom, whatever, they have a couple rides that are based on Avatar. So
Do
they do
they
own
have
at least
some
some of
rights
the
to
rights.
it.
Okay.
But that would put them in at least 3 of the top 3
Yeah.
biggest movies worldwide.
Wow.
So anyway, my mom actually has Disney stock, so it's probably a good day to be my mother as well.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
Hopefully she bought it when you were just a wee lad.
No, it was like probably 10 years ago.
It's still
It's
better
still
than-
probably
yeah.
Josh says cheers. So, Josh,
Cheers,
Cheers.
Josh.
cheers.
all right. So, Avengers Endgame. This will be spoilery. So if you're watching and you haven't seen it, you might want to just cut out, because we're not responsible for what happens to you from this point on. So I don't think we need to go through a synopsis or discuss this thing scene by scene, but this really is the culmination of, what is it, 22?
21. It's the 22nd,
It's the
isn't it?
22nd.
Yeah,
So the
there we go.
21 movies that
Over
came
11
before it,
years.
Over 11 years, right?
Mhm.
And to that effect, with this release, Robert Downey Jr. actually passed Wolverine for the most appearances.
I think he's at 10. Is that right? Or
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 or somewhere in there. It's double digits.
Right.
Wow.
That's Tony Stark.
But he did it in like 10 years, whereas it took Hugh Jackman 17.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting. And also, incidentally, Robert Downey Jr. was the only member of the cast who was entrusted with the full script.
Ah.
You knew they weren't going to trust Tom Holland with it.
Right.
Or Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Professor Hulk got his hands on that?
Ooh, yeah.
Huh. So but I mean, like, yeah, because we had a couple people that,
Yeah.
loose
Yep.
lips sink box office ships. I don't know.
Yeah.
Starship.
It might not have sunk the ship though that I don't know that we're going on right now. I think this was a pretty well. I think everyone was planning on seeing it regardless.
Mhm.
Oh man, and they delivered.
I thought it was great.
This thing starts off, I mean, just in the, and they don't really give a time frame. Like it seems like it's right after Thanos snaps. They kind of reconvene at their hideout, and it's just weighing heavily. They're trying to figure out what the damages are, what the loss of life is, who's missing and who's not. And you see these characters in these emotional states. I mean, they do such a great job because they're portraying this pain and this loss,
What
and
I loved
everybody's
about
doing it differently.
This one was Infinity War it was an Avengers movie, but it was so much bigger than just an Avengers movie. Where this one just feels like, with the way we led into it, it's at the core, it's an Avengers movie. It's the original Avengers from the first movie, plus a few others. But it had a chance to really focus in on those emotions and the relationships and, the people that were gone. And it, there's no action per se for the first hour or so of the movie. It's a lot of dialogue, but you're just so caught up in it. I mean, the time still flies by, but it's just it really lets you into the characters, and that's what's been so good about the Marvel Universe anyway, is the way that they've developed these very robust, well-rounded, complex characters.
Well, and you're emotionally attached to them at this point.
You're very invested in them and their well-being and their outcomes.
But I thought one thing the film did very interestingly after Captain Marvel went out and picked up Tony Stark was that they hopped forward 5 years.
Yeah, that was interesting move.
It was, but I think it worked.
Yeah,
because you had to get them to the point they were, right? And like, so, Stark gets back from space and he's like emaciated, malnourished, can barely stand.
Yep.
You've got, Thor, who's just beating himself up, which just gets worse. And I mean, I think, I don't know. It's like you said, you just, there's nothing much going on, but it's just like,
which I think is like one thing I really liked about the movie is the fact that it really portrayed the sense of loss in all of them, because they all kind of lost their identity after all of their friends went away. It's like, well, what do we do now? We have no way to combat this, so you just try to move on.
But I think the one thing that did happen that was significant before that 5-year jump was Thanos snapped again.
Yeah.
True.
They didn't know where he went. They were trying to find him, and then all of a sudden they picked up that same surge from the snap. Turns out he had basically snapped the stones away, so nothing could undo what he had done. And the interesting, and I don't think it was unexpected part there, was Thor actually took that opportunity to go for the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, if you asked me beforehand, what would you say if Thanos died in the first 30 minutes of the film? I would have laughed probably for a while.
Yeah.
It was definitely unexpected, and I think it was just a good plot tactic to really kind of leave you with, well, what do you do now? Because you still have 2.5 hours of movie left.
Right. And it was so anticlimactic at that point that it was all built up to this moment that really didn't mean anything.
Right. By the time they did it was too late. So what I find funny, because I've seen like memes about it, but Scott Lang escaping the quantum realm.
Yep.
All thanks to a rat that just happened to be walking across the panel and flicking a button, right? So the rat, I think that rat is the real MVP.
Mhm.
But one thing I really liked about Scott Lang is just like the goofiness and the humor that he brings
Mhm.
to this, because when you're dealing with subject matter that's so just depressing, you need humor. And I think the Russos did a great job of using the appropriate amounts of humor
Mhm.
in the appropriate places. It didn't. So I'm gonna use Thor Ragnarok as an example. I thought it was maybe a little too heavy on the humor, and it didn't take itself seriously enough. So I didn't feel like the balance was there with Thor Ragnarok. But I thought for Endgame it was absolutely on point.
Well, and I think, yeah, you look at these characters, and after watching all of these movies, it's like, well, you obviously you have Bruce Banner, who's always going to be a relatively straight-laced guy. You have, Iron Man, who's kind of a wild card. You have, well, but it's just like what Paul Rudd brought to that role. I thought was just he was kind of the fish out of water
Well,
the
he's
entire
kind of
time.
the everyman in a way.
Yeah.
Because, he really doesn't have powers per
I mean,
se,
he
except
just
through
he
the
just
suit.
kind of
and-
stumbled
Yeah,
into
right.
that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And
But I felt like the humor was very organic and it worked,
Mhm.
and it was all within the characters that we've
Yeah.
come to know
Yeah.
within the series or within the franchise.
Yeah. And so this has been a point of contention on the internet, and I don't know how widespread it is, right?
Mhm.
Because it's usually the people that complain that make the most
the
noise.
loudest.
Absolutely.
Squeaky wheel,
Yeah.
grease, all that. But how they handled Banner and the Hulk in this, a lot of people were upset that he wasn't an enormous green rage monster anymore.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Some people were upset that they developed this mix between the two off camera. You didn't get to
Mhm.
see the
Oh,
process.
sure.
And I think some of that is because Marvel and Disney don't own the full rights to make a Hulk solo movie.
Oh.
Oh.
I want to say maybe it's with Universal, but I could be making that up. But that's the reason all of his major moments and his development have been him sandwiched in as a side character.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So,
Well, I kind of liked it because, well, unfortunately, while Bruce Banner could be multidimensional, the Hulk really is not. He's just a overgrown 3-year-old child who's, on a terrible tantrum.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to advance his character this way,
Mhm.
I thought it was a good, well, certainly a novel approach, and something that
Mhm.
had been done in the comics, but it
Yep.
was something that
Yeah.
that really was needed for his character to evolve. I felt like he was a little stagnant. I mean, he was just, well, in Thor Ragnarok, he was just big, bulky, and green and angry, and he was pretty much the Hulk the entire
But
time.
there was still some progression there because he
I
was
thought he
actually
was-
speaking.
There
right?
was,
So
there
you
was.
could start to see there's a direction there.
I thought he
going.
was one of the best parts of Ragnarok.
I
Yes.
well, and I'm saying I
No.
liked him there too, but it just felt
But
like
it is, he is just he's going to leave a path of destruction wherever he goes.
Yeah.
He just can't help himself.
right.
But I think and the CGI to just kind of make him look
Mhm.
like Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Mhm. That was pretty cool.
I mean, it looked really cool.
Like this bobblehead.
That'd be Is he nodding now?
He was. He's kind of doing this now.
Yeah. But
What about Thor?
so another kind of controversial decision, right? A lot of people not happy with how the God of Thunder was portrayed in this movie. You guys have
I like
thoughts?
Lebowski Thor. So I
Yes.
thought that when you look at the progression of his character from coming out of Ragnarok, where he loses his dad, he meets his sister, who basically destroys Asgard through Ragnarok.
Mhm.
He loses Asgard. He's lost pretty much everything at this point.
Yeah.
And after the snap, it's
Well, and even the beginning of Infinity War, Thanos basically attacks the ship that has the
Mhm.
rest of his people on it.
yeah. Well,
He kills Loki, kills Heimdall
Yeah.
before Heimdall gets him out of there.
Mhm.
Yep.
Or no, not No, he gets the Hulk out of there.
Yeah, he got the Hulk out of
Yeah.
there.
So, and then he's got to wrestle with the fact that he could have taken Thanos out, but I think he wanted to see him suffer. So Thor, over the course of 5 years, becoming fat and just retreating and being a drunkard and
Playing video games.
playing
Korg
Fortnite
and
with
meat.
Korg. I mean, I think that is an accurate portrayal of what somebody who has lost as much as he's lost might do. I mean, most other people, it probably would be much uglier.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like it, and I like the fact that he stayed that way for the whole movie. Like like when the lightning braided his beard, it didn't make him skinny.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, we didn't get like the Rocky montage where he gets into shape.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was really cool. I like
No, and I think
Lebowski
that-
Thor as well.
When I know, like in Ragnarok and coming out of the Ghostbusters reboot, that Chris Hemsworth showed a lot of comedic aptitude, and I think it just, I mean, his range as an actor is a lot more than I would have given him credit for.
Yeah.
After the first Thor movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot more to him than we probably realized.
So I don't know how many pictures he's got left on his deal, but we have confirmation that he's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So we'll at least get to see him there, and I think he works really well with that group of characters.
And I think that arc makes sense too. With him, I mean, he's got nothing left on Earth now, so he doesn't have to be there anymore. So to go off on an adventure with Rabbit and
and Tree, speaking of Earth,
Quill's in charge though.
Right.
Yeah, we established that.
Right.
Of course.
Speaking of Earth, though, I was surprised to see footage of Natalie Portman in the movie.
Yeah.
And doing some research, she didn't actually shoot any new footage. The footage of her was actually outtakes from The Dark World. But she did record a little bit of voice work, I think, when she was speaking in the corridor before she came into view. So she actually came in, she did do some recording of voice work, which surprised me because I don't think she had a great time on that set on that movie.
But it was still interesting that she at least liked it enough where she showed up for the red carpet debut.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
was at the premiere,
that says something too.
Right. But I mean, basically designers are going to put you in their best dress and you're going to go get free publicity in front of the camera. So who's going to say no to that?
I suppose. I mean, for again, like the biggest movie of all time.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of funny how she's been in Star Wars and she's been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now, and
because she still seems to be more of an independent
movie
actress.
I mean, that's clearly where I guess the money is, but I mean, it's not her cup of tea. I don't think. So, and I respect that.
Yeah.
You need to do what you love. So it's cool. I enjoyed seeing her. I'm trying to think. I only saw the movie once, and it's been a couple weeks now. I was reading about, because Scott Lang comes out of the quantum realm, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I bet we can time travel," and that's where they enlist the help.
Well,
of
it was because from Scott's point of view, it wasn't only gone for like a few minutes or a couple hours, and it came back, and it was years.
5 years, Like he comes home to a daughter who's grown, practically. I mean, can you imagine that?
No.
I mean, they'd be like, if something happened to me and 5 years later I come back and my 5-year-old's now 10.
Yeah, that would be really tough.
So, but it's kind of interesting how this is how they bring Tony Stark back in, because Tony Stark's got a family. He's with Pepper. They've got a daughter. He's kind of living his perfect life.
Yep.
I mean, he's like,
obviously, it looked like a nice place too.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he felt lost because he lost Peter Parker. Half of humanity, half of all life in the universe gone. But he was able to kind of move on from that and find some peace.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come and they kind of propose it, I mean, I think his initial thought is the same thing most of us would do, is be like, no, I got a good thing here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that some of you don't, but I don't want to risk this.
Yeah.
But in the end, I don't think his brain can just let it go.
No, I think the seeds were planted and the challenge was put in front of him to kind of figure out that puzzle of time travel. And
I was reading an article, and the paragraph is something like, and then Tony Stark figures out time travel when he's got a few hours free one night.
Yeah.
Something like that. But that whole progression leads to some mending of fences, because you've got Stark coming back, giving Cap his shield back, and that was, I mean, and it even gets to the point where they're back in New York City, where he says, "Do you trust me?" And Cap's like, "Yeah, I do." So they're able to mend some of the damage that was done.
Yeah.
Speaking of New York City, this is where that time travel mechanic comes back to, because we get to revisit a lot of places.
That was so cool. I really like that.
And we can kind of get into that and nostalgia and things like that later. But I spent a good hour mapping out all the time travel and the jumps, doing research into some quantum mechanics, which, holy crap, guys. Holy crap.
So this is what he does in his free time.
This is what I do in my free time.
Tony Stark figures out how to do time travel, and so does Chris.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are pretty much Iron Man. All you need is like a Stark Industries shirt.
Oh my.
I just watched myself make the reveal.
That's awesome. You're time traveling already.
I know, I'm in the future.
But we're in the future too.
That's
So we're
true.
here with you.
Yeah. So basically, this film makes a point to say this is not how the Terminator or Back to the Future works.
Yeah.
You can't go back 25 years and change something that then alters what has happened.
Right.
Because every time you go back, you automatically create this branch in the main timeline, and from that point, it's an alternate timeline.
Yep.
So it's very close to the multiverse
theory.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically saying every time you make a decision. So if Brian would have chosen, you know what, I really don't want to drink this beer tonight. At the point he made that decision between not having the beer and having the beer, that would be a branch where there would be one timeline and one reality where he didn't drink that beer, and there would be one where he did. And this is the multi-universe theory. Every time you make a decision, every time you do this instead of that, it creates a branch. Now, just think about that for a minute. Just take some time. Think about how many things you decide on every day. Then think about how many people there are in the world. And it becomes mind-bogglingly complicated. So this is kind of heady stuff. So what I did was I mapped out the main timeline, and I said, okay, at 2023, this is the point where they decide they're going to go back in time, and they're going to go back to Vormir to get the Soul Stone, and they're going to go to Asgard to get which one, I forget.
That was the one,
of them.
The one that was injected into
James'
blood.
Yep. They go
back to Morag.
Morag. They're going to New York City
for 3 of them,
and so they go back to those points, and then they end up going back to like 1970 or 1973 because they screw up the New York 2011.
And don't open the door for Loki's return.
Yeah. So we do get to see a cameo by Loki, Tom Hiddleston, and due to Tony Stark and Ant-Man not quite executing on the plan as intended, Loki's able to grab the Tesseract and make an escape, which forces them to go back further
Mhm.
to someplace where they know the stone is going to be.
Yep.
Which is really cool because Tony Stark gets to see his father
Mhm.
and have just a conversation.
Mhm.
And then Cap gets to see Peggy Carter,
Yeah.
who's working at the installation as well. But every time they do something like this, it creates this alternate timeline or this alternate
Mhm.
branch. So on Asgard, they suck the stone out of Natalie Portman. That sounds really weird. And Thor summons Mjolnir to his hand.
Mhm.
Yep.
So that creates a branch because now if they don't return Mjolnir, there's a reality where Thor doesn't have that
Mhm.
from the point of the Dark
Yep.
World on. And so, and then if we go to, was it Morag? Did we say?
That was Nebula and War Machine, right?
Nebula
Yep.
and War Machine, where Nebula is captured by Thanos from that time period. And
Yep.
And then she syncs up with herself in that time period, so Thanos realizes what's going on, and
which then creates
Mhm.
another branch. So now
Yeah.
there's this alternate reality or this alternate timeline where he knows what's happening. And the directors actually make a point to say that Ebony Maw, Thanos' right-hand man, is actually able to reverse engineer the Pym particle based on what they captured from future Nebula. And then that's how he figures out how to send his forces into the future to 2023 to face the Avengers.
Yep.
So this is what I should do.
So there was some thought that was put into the script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I probably should do, because this is...
You should have gotten a whiteboard.
Yeah. Screenshot.
What I might do is I might take the time to actually make this look pretty, and then I can post it on social media.
Yeah.
And people
Good
can
call.
pick it apart. But I was going somewhere with this. I lost it.
It's pretty heady stuff. It was.
Well, I mean, let people digest it and see for themselves.
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
think
digest.
it's a very complex plot. I mean, I think they did, as you said,
Well,
Chip. They put a lot of thought into.
Anytime you
this to
use
work.
time travel as a plot device, it's either gonna. A lot of times it just fails miserably.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
that's what you've got to do the homework and really think through all these different variations and possibilities of things that can happen.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. I like the way they handled it. It was handled pretty, I don't want to say gracefully, but that's the only word that's popping into my head right now.
No, it
They put a lot of forethought into it, and
Yeah.
it's what's different about it is the fact that it is different than the Back to the Future
Yeah.
or even Terminator. Just
Yeah,
it's
because
just a
in
different.
Back to the Future, they created the splinter timeline, but he was able to fix it when he got the
Yep.
sports almanac back and
Right.
got it away from Biff,
Got
and
his-
then everything was fixed. But this one,
but
there's no way to fix a
I don't
timeline.
think that wasn't necessarily a splintered timeline. That was just messing up the one timeline. I mean,
Yeah.
that was in Back to
Yeah.
the Future.
Yeah.
That's all linear, right?
Yeah,
There's no real branching.
Mhm.
true.
So I came across this, and the Marvel Studios president, I'm going to say his name wrong, Kevin
Feige.
Feige.
I've heard Feige, I thought.
Feige, yeah. But he credited Star Trek: The Next Generation's series finale, All Good Things, as an inspiration for this film. Now, if you
Oh,
recall,
that's
this is the
cool.
one where basically Q pops up and like Picard is jumping through these three
That's right.
times
Yep.
where it's all converging on this one single threat.
Yeah.
That's right.
So kind of makes me want to go back and watch the finale
Yeah.
because it's been literally probably 20. What year is it?
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
It's been,
It's been
over
over
20
20
years.
years.
Wow. So, but I thought it was kind of cool to hear that was kind of part of the inspiration there. I remember what I was going to say though. So the point where they get all the stones and they come back, Hulk is the one that decides to put the gauntlet on and snap. He's like, you know what?
Mhm.
This thing is gamma radiation. I'm basically made for this,
Mhm.
and it
messes
wrecks
up.
him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like for the rest of the movie, his arm is like charred to a crisp, and he's even got it in a sling. And the Russos have confirmed that that's permanent damage.
Hmm.
Now, that's another piece of the puzzle as to why a lot of fans are pissed off about this. They're like, well, you crippled Hulk. I mean, he is his strength. Well, he is not just his strength anymore.
No.
But I understand you like that incarnation of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that I don't think that the Russos do anything half-cocked.
Mm-hmm.
This is thought out. They're thinking 10 movies in advance when
Yeah.
they do any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
phase 4 as they're going through this.
yeah,
So.
there's a plan here somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's something dealing with the Red Hulk to try to heal him. I don't know,
Mhm.
but maybe also worth pointing out that at Tony Stark's spoilers funeral at the end,
Mhm.
General Ross is there. That's the first time you've
yeah.
seen Banner and Ross in the
Mhm.
same shot since Edward Norton's Hulk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's supposed to foreshadow something that there's more going on with him or not, but that was just an interesting little
Cool
tidbit.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So what about that final battle outside of Avengers headquarters after Thanos and his crew roll up in their...
Oh, I was pretty stoked. You knew going in that was going to be a big battle.
Yeah.
And I was not disappointed, but just the way that they kind of brought this all together, it was like, well, it was just like, is this the way it's supposed to play out? I guess even before then, when they're like kind of all teaming up, when they're all arriving, in the location, they're trying to get they're trying to get out of headquarters. Ant-Man goes down and rescues everyone. Like, you could just tell it was really building up for this long battle scene. I thought they did a really good job of preparing us for that.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a great job, because at first it's, Thanos attacks the Avengers compound, and Hawkeye's the one that ends up with the
Infinity
Infinity
Gauntlet.
Gauntlet, and he's just kind of running and trying to keep it away from them. And you've got Thor, Cap, and Iron Man left to face off with Thanos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that part in itself is engaging, because they really do a great job of drawing you in. I mean, even to the point where this is the moment where a lot of fans have been waiting for, because Cap gets to wield Thor's hammer.
Yeah, that was cool. As Thor said, I knew it.
Yeah.
Going back, and I'm going to see if I can find the exact quote, but the Russos have implied that he'd always been able to wield it. He refrained because he didn't want to.
Wanted to show up Thor
Yeah.
or embarrass him or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. So
In Age of Ultron.
So the exact quote is, "In our heads, he was always able to wield it." Now let's go back to 2015, and there was an interview with Joss Whedon, and the fan asked him, "How is Steve Rogers not worthy?" And Joss Whedon's response was, "Is he not? Are we sure? Did he fail, or did he stop?" So
Interesting.
Yeah. Which, the thing I like about this is it opens up the door for future possibilities or future incarnations to take Mjolnir and do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that will necessarily look like, but just the fact that, like, it adds to the legendary Thor's story, even after he's gone eventually. I don't know how many more movies he has left, but say he's in a couple more, it's like, well, his hammer can live on forever. It's kind of that reminder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we actually glossed over kind of an important bit here when back on Vormir, when Hawkeye and Black Widow go.
Yeah, that was a good series.
So Nat ultimately ends up at the bottom of the ravine, so Hawkeye can bring the Soul Stone back. But there were several moments in that scene, because they're fighting each other for who gets to die, basically, where I didn't know who it was going to be.
No.
Like, there were 3 times where I was like, oh, it's going to be Nat. Oh, no, it's going to be Hawkeye. Oh, shoot. So
Yeah, because I mean, they could have really taken the story either way at that point.
they could.
They could have.
And I think I read in an earlier version of the script it was Hawkeye that ended up
Really?
falling. But if you think about it, I mean, he had a family. He just got his family back.
Mm-hmm.
He has all this stuff to live for. And Natasha's always been talking about red in her ledger and having to clear out the red.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she saw this as a way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I also thought that, there was some sort of love interest there anyway. She had feelings for him, and that one way that she could really, do something for him was to sacrifice herself so that he could get his family back.
Yeah, right.
So, like, it made sense that she was the one to eventually, commit the greatest sacrifice. But
Yeah.
it was such a good sequence. You really didn't know at the time.
No.
It really could have gone either way.
Yeah. I agree.
So, I mean, that was, and when Hawkeye goes back and he tells everybody what happened, that's where you see that moment of rage from Thor,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? Because not Thor, Hulk.
Yeah.
Wow. Because he
Yeah.
did he like
Yeah,
chuck
she
a
was coming
car
with his-
or a boat
yeah.
or something
Oh,
across
yeah.
the lake? I don't remember what he did, but I mean, you saw that, just that raw anger and that
It's
raw
like a
strength.
bench, maybe,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't want to have us end this thing and be like, oh shoot, we didn't even talk about Black Widow.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
She
Good point.
does have a solo movie coming out.
Mhm.
I want to say I've heard it's set in the 80s.
Yep.
I've heard it's a prequel, and then maybe we'll find out what happened in Budapest.
Yeah. Because they've
Let's hope so.
alluded to it more than once.
Yeah.
So you and I remember Budapest very differently.
Hmm.
So, okay, where were we?
Oh,
right.
Well, the final battle. Scene.
Final battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually saw this. Someone told me they saw it, and I didn't catch it live. But
Okay.
apparently, Howard the Duck was in the movie for 18
heard that.
frames.
I heard that. Yeah.
And so I know someone who said claims they saw him, which I don't know. 18 frames is pretty darn quick. I don't know how many
Yeah.
frames per second there are, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like half a second.
Yeah.
It's probably, they've got to be shooting at least 60.
60 I would
Sure.
say minimum, but
Yeah.
So a third of a second.
yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So basically, Thor's injured by Thanos when Cap wields the hammer.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But then it is ultimately it's just down to Cap. Thanos actually breaks his shield,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of harkens back to Avengers: Age of Ultron when Scarlet Witch comes up behind
Mm-hmm.
Tony, and Tony has that vision. Because in that vision, Cap's shield is broken.
Oh yeah.
In
that's
that
right.
vision, Hulk is injured and unable to fight.
Mhm.
In that vision, Black Widow is dead and in the same position that you see here at the bottom of the pit on Vormir. And Thor appeared to be dead in the same position as when Thanos wounds him with Stormbreaker.
Mm.
So interesting and kind of cool callback for them to go
Yeah.
back to that vision, which kind of gives you the question was what is Scarlet Witch's power actually doing in that moment?
Mhm.
Was she actually showing him a vision of the future and not just messing
Mhm.
with his brain?
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
I think it definitely gave me an appreciation of, want to go back and rewatch a lot of these because
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of things that I missed that
Yep.
it's kind of like an onion, you have
Oh,
so
I
many different
imagine.
layers. And
Mhm.
well, the one thing I realized I need to go back and watch Iron Man 3. It's been a long, long
Mhm.
time since
Yeah.
then, and we'll kind of come back to that later. But
Mhm.
back to the final battle, like I don't know if you guys felt this too, but like when I was in the theater, it was just that battle, like Hawkeye was running away from everyone that was chasing him, and then it was the rest of the surviving Avengers fighting Thanos, and then all of a sudden, it was like, the army was progressing towards them, and there was
And
like, what are they
it's
going to do?
just Cap at that point.
Yeah,
Because Iron Man and Thor are laying on the ground or something. I don't
Yeah.
remember where
Yeah.
Stark was at that point, but I think he got
he was.
wrecked by
Yeah.
Thanos temporarily. But Yeah.
But just the it was like, oh man, my first thought was we're not gonna have a third one, are we? I was hoping it was not
Yeah.
gonna be a 3-part finale, but yeah, seeing all of the portals from Doctor Strange was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and that was after the snap, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
yeah. Yeah. Because after Hulk snapped, everybody was basically restored.
Bless you.
Excuse me. For anybody listening, I hope that wasn't too loud. Oh. But yeah, I think that was the moment for me.
Oh yeah.
Like just you leading up to it, I got goosebumps.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was so
just
cool.
talking about it.
Mhm.
You know, you see Cap standing up, and he's ready to face down Thanos' entire army. He's like tightening his shield.
Mhm.
He's ready to go, and you just hear Cap on your left, and I was like, and you didn't really know, and then you saw the portal,
Yeah.
and then you saw like 100 of them, and it was so
Yeah,
cool.
'cause I think we all knew going in that they were coming back somehow. We just
Right.
didn't know
Mhm.
how.
Right.
And then the way they played that scene out, it just
And they
That
did
was
such a
cool.
great job of how they did that battle that you weren't just thinking they're going to show up any minute. They're going
Yeah.
to show up any minute. You completely forgot about it
Mhm.
until you heard, and it was like, oh damn,
Yeah.
oh damn.
Mhm.
So yeah, really well done. And then you had, Black Panther showing up
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
taking the gauntlet from Clint.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I've seen a lot of stuff on Instagram where it's calling back to their first meeting in Civil War. And they're facing off because they're on separate sides, and they're getting ready to fight, and he's like, I'm Clint, what's your name? And Panther's like, basically like, I don't care. But he shows up, and he's like, I think he calls Clint by name, actually.
Yeah, I think he
He
did.
said, give it to me. So that was pretty cool. And then you've got Captain Marvel showing up. She's really good at destroying ships, by the way.
Mhm.
She is.
Like a human bullet.
Yeah.
It's getting
Yeah.
serious. I'm taking the jacket off.
yeah.
I'm kind of curious, and we can leave this for a different episode, but where they take Captain Marvel from here. I mean, I think what we're talking about
Yeah.
is Phase
Yeah.
4 movies, and it's like,
Anybody else want one of these?
ooh,
Good.
Is that a yes?
are you having one?
Yes.
All right.
Chip, you're good?
I'm good.
Okay. You won't hold
Yeah,
this against you.
I am curious where they take Captain Marvel from here. Because, I mean, with the success of that movie, that's going to lead in somewhere else.
Mhm.
But
You know what? So we saw it when we were in Kansas City.
Mhm.
And I don't know what I was expecting going in, but I was actually blown away with how much I enjoyed it. I think after seeing Endgame and kind of having some time to digest, I need to reevaluate. But after seeing it, I was like, this might be in my top 5.
yeah. And I guess that was probably one of the things that, and it wasn't that I was disappointed with Endgame, but they had this whole buildup of, Captain Marvel's coming, but she didn't do a whole lot.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that was almost like a sleight of hand.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't detract from the movie, but it just was,
Yeah.
it probably was a little misdirection,
Yep.
Well, that's just it. I really like the fact that she wasn't playing a bigger role in it, because I felt like this was the capstone to the original
It's
Avengers.
the Avengers story.
I felt
it's
like-
their,
and I'm
it's the final chapter of
I'm
their,
totally
that
cool with-
story.
with her playing a bigger part going forward, but I felt like this had to be the Tony Stark show
Yeah, and it felt
And
like it
the
would have
Steve
been,
Rogers show.
and the Steve Rogers show,
Yeah.
and it was.
because it would have been too easy of a plot device to have her come in and just
Clean
use her
house.
powers to clean
Yeah.
up and
Yeah.
fix everything.
But kind of speaking to your point, I think we all knew going in that this is going to be Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr.'s last.
Yeah, they were pretty clear that
That's hurrah.
this was the end of their
Um,
contracts. This was their
Yep.
last movie.
Well, and Marvel just didn't want to pay Downey anymore.
yeah.
I think he relishes that role and he
Oh,
loves
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well, that
They're
was
not
the role
willing-
that resurrected his career.
Yeah.
and
Now,
really is the backbone of this whole franchise.
Right.
yeah, and
this entire 22 movie run is due to him.
Well, in that first Iron Man movie, when you go back to that wouldn't have worked if that character wasn't. I mean, I don't want to say it would have it could have worked with a different actor, but he embodies that role.
He does.
so
And
well.
That, like, almost that entire movie, I believe they just ad-libbed.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. And it was just, everything just hit the right notes, and it was amazing. Because Iron Man was a B-level hero.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he wasn't
Oh,
their
yes.
top tier.
No.
He wasn't
He
Fantastic
wasn't Fantastic
Four
Four,
or
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
Right.
X-Men.
Or
Right.
even the Wasp. The Wasp apparently was the original leader of the Avengers.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah.
Which
Which does lead me to think that again, going back to Iron Man 3, the funeral at the very end, they kind of panned through person by person, going back and forth, and there's the one kid at the back. I was like, that kid looks familiar, and I actually had to look him up.
I had to look it up
Google
too.
I thought for a minute, it was like, it looked like it might have been like the Quicksilver from the X-Men movie.
Yeah, which would have
and
been
I was
cool.
like, well, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Well, you knew that they weren't going to do. You mean the reboot from like 2014, 2015, or the one from like 2011?
The one with James McAvoy.
It was the-
Okay.
And
First Class one, wasn't it? Or the...
Yeah.
I was going to say they couldn't use the original.
Or no, Days of Future Past.
Days of Future
Yeah.
Past. Yeah.
Because you can't use the original Fantastic Four, since obviously Chris Evans plays the Human Torch.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, like that kid from number 3, from Iron Man,
the one that
Iron Man
helps
3.
Tony out.
So you do kind of wonder if they're going to continue Iron Man in some capacity. And
Well, I mean, with Pepper's evolution too, and showing up in the suit, and they kind of hinted that his daughter has an aptitude for things. That there's a lot of possibilities where they could take it.
Yep.
So.
Well, and even go to the most recent Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, where they make allusions to, Fury's like, "Are you going to be the next Iron Man?" Basically. So it's like, I'm just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and Fury's like, "Bitch, please, you've been to space."
So
So
that was great.
Going and seeing that after, like, within days of seeing Endgame, it was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
So
and how about when Spidey or Peter Parker came back and then ran into Tony, and Tony didn't even have words. It was just he just fell into that embrace, and that started to wreck me right there.
And then it's like, okay,
this is
he's
getting
dying.
pretty emotional.
Yeah,
he's gonna die. I mean, they telegraphed it. If you go back and look, like, he had like the family, he had the perfect life that he sacrificed.
That's when you do it.
And I mean, even without knowing that he was hanging it up.
Yeah.
I mean, just certain things in the movie, you're like, gonna die. Gonna die.
Yep.
Gonna die.
Checking all the boxes.
Yep. But I mean, I did a great job of holding it together, right up until like the video, like the hologram goodbye at the end, when he looked at his kid and said, "I love you 3000," and then I was like, oh, because
that's rough.
My 5-year-old used to say, like, you'd say, like, "I love you to pieces," and he'd be like, "I love you 10 pieces." So that reminded me of that. So it was just like, oh. So, yeah. And then why don't we touch on Captain America's exit?
Yeah, that's probably like the greatest end to a multi-movie character that I've ever seen.
So, to recap for anyone who maybe was drunk or fell asleep.
Oh, I see what you did there. You said recap.
I did. Cheers.
We can still cheers you.
Yeah, you're not excluded. Yeah. So at the end, Doctor Strange kind of gives Tony the sign. He's like, this is the chance. This is what I did all of this for.
This is the one.
He manages to grab the stones and snap Thanos and his armies out of existence, thus dying in the process. But it's not done, because all the stones that they took, they now have to take back.
Yep.
So when Professor Hulk, Bruce Banner, whatever you want to call him, went back to New York City, his job was to go get the Time Stone. And at this point in time, it was with the Ancient One.
Yep.
Doctor Strange was not
He wasn't
the
still
Sorcerer
practicing
Supreme.
medicine.
Right. He
Right.
was still a surgeon. And so he's arguing with the Ancient One that he needs the stone, and
Mhm.
she doesn't bite until he said Strange gave the stone to Thanos.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that
she's
was
like,
cool.
oh, well, shit. Okay.
Mhm.
This changes things. But she does this whole thing where she talks about, kind of like I did with my piece of paper here. It's
Yeah.
like, if you take a stone out of this time, it immediately creates this parallel branch. So like, if we think back to the Doctor Strange movie, the big bad, is it Dormammu?
Ooh.
I think.
Mm,
Without
yeah.
the time
Sure.
stone, without the time stone, Doctor Strange wouldn't have been able to lock him in that time loop and defeat him.
Yeah.
He would have taken over the world and basically consumed reality. So you can kind of see why she doesn't want to just give it up.
Yeah.
Also, what was kind of cool in that scene was when like Professor Hulk's like trying to make the case, and she like does like the pushes his soul out of his body.
Yeah, that was cool.
And he's all of a sudden Mark Ruffalo again.
Yep.
But returning all of the stones.
Right, returning all the stones
And so-
to prevent these
And
bad
Mjolnir.
things from
Mhm.
happening. Yes.
Yep.
And so he's got his quantum suit on. He's got his Pym particles, and I think Bucky's there. And hey, I'm just going to be back in 30 seconds for that thing. Their whole embrace,
Mhm.
goodbye, buddy scene.
Yeah.
It's like I think Bucky knew what he was going to do.
Mhm.
Yep.
Because he went back and he put all the stones away,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
returned Mjolnir, but then he stayed with Peggy Carter,
Mm-hmm.
lived out his life to be a ripe old man, and showed up on a bench, a minute or two from when he left,
Yep.
old and wrinkly and
No.
gray, which they did a great job.
They
in
did.
that.
I thought they did too.
I saw some things on Instagram that led me to believe that they did some old man makeup on him, but then they actually had like a legitimate old guy that they like did some like mapping.
Oh yeah.
So they kind of like morphed the two scenes
That's
together
cool.
Huh.
to do that. I'd be curious to see if the DVD Blu-ray comes out.
Yeah.
They kind of have the aging of Captain America scene, because that kind of stuff always interests me. Like
Yeah.
Star Wars Rogue One, where they did it like the CGI Tarkin, or they
Yeah.
de-aged Leia at the
Mhm.
end. That stuff just kind of interests me.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I'd like to hear more about that.
Now, I heard one interesting fan theory, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it actually proposed the idea that Captain America, when he went back and he returned everything, he had to go to possibly an alternative timeline to be with Peggy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And
That'd be
I
one
found
of
that
your-
It's
sheet-
on my sheet.
It's
So-
one of your decisions that creates a
but,
branch.
right.
He doesn't age because of the super serum. He ages slower.
Mhm.
He actually might have used the remaining Pym particles.
But does he age slower?
I was told that he did. Is that
Well, how much time has passed since they thawed him out? I mean, it's been
I mean,
11
if he
years.
was, yeah,
11 years of movies. But,
Right.
What was it, 2023? So if he was thought out in 2000, I mean, it's only been
Mhm.
13, 14 years.
Right.
So
But the idea is what happened with all of the extra Pym particles that he took from the 1940s lab? Because I know they had several.
sure. I'm betting he sold them for cocaine.
Well, more than likely.
well, in the 70s,
but
yeah.
Yeah,
What else did him and Peggy were doing?
No, that's true.
dancing.
Yeah. Well, how
Um,
can you dance all night without cocaine?
right. But so let's go back to, I think it was Civil War, where they're just getting done. The Avengers are just getting done fighting with each other, and Cap gets the call that Peggy's is gonna die.
Mhm.
So he goes to visit her, and he makes the comment. He's like, "Hey, I'm not gonna leave my best gal when I owe her a dance," or something like that.
Yeah.
So that tells me, since she was surprised that he was still alive, that this was an alternate reality.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In this main timeline, she did marry the soldier that Captain America saved in the war,
Yeah.
Mhm.
had a couple of kids, but as soon as he popped back and came
Yeah.
back into her life, that's where that
It's
other
splintered off.
timeline
It's
splintered
splintered.
off. But and then so Russo's did confirm that it is an alternate timeline.
Mm-hmm.
They also confirmed that he figured out a way, and maybe it was because he had some Pym particle left, but he figured out a way to do one last jump back to his timeline as an old man to meet up with Sam and Bucky one more time.
Yep. So, in order to pass the shield off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So let's talk about the shield for a minute.
Sure.
Sam or Bucky, who deserved it?
Is both an option?
Yes.
I don't know. Like I feel like
I was fine with the Sam decision because of Bucky's troubled mind and that he could be corrupted again.
Yes.
You know,
or maybe they didn't get all of the old brainwashing out of his system.
Sure.
I think Sam had this.
Plus, to quote
similar
Natasha,
ideals.
he has an awful lot of red in his ledger too.
Yep.
I don't know. Well, just knowing what we've talked about before, the fact that both Sam and Bucky have many movies left on the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a TV show or
streaming
series coming out this
Yes.
fall.
Which I think is supposed to involve the Captain America decision in some way.
Oh,
Yes.
I did read that.
No,
I think today or yesterday. Yeah.
That's good.
I would like to give props to Josh and the Field of Geeks guys. I saw that they had posted that Disney now owns Hulu as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I was wondering if, especially with Disney owning more of the streaming content, if they would actually tie that in somehow with more of the episodes or and I think they'll have to.
I think that would be kind of neat if they did.
Because there's just so much there where historically, in one timeline, Bucky gets the shield and then Sam gets it in the other one. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think there's just a lot there. And the fact that he chose Sam first, it might not necessarily mean anything. Like it might, but it might not.
Well, and so let's step back and look at this from just a character development standpoint. I think Bucky's already got plenty of dedicated fans, and he's already pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
I think you don't need to elevate him because he's already got that je ne sais quoi. Whereas Sam, this kind of helps to elevate his stature a little bit, right?
Because Sam, in a lot of ways, is just kind of a regular dude that is a basic
Sorry,
pilot.
I'm
with the
chatting
suit.
with Josh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He was just saying that, Doctor Strange obviously no longer has a time stone going forward because
True.
once Cap took him back, the ones that were in the prison, Thanos already snapped into nothingness. So
Good point.
Yeah. So what are we going to have for Doctor Strange 2 that is in development? How is that going to affect that?
No clue.
I think there are a lot of unanswered questions about where Marvel's actually going to take this.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. I
So-
feel like up until this point, they've had kind of the same sort of linear progression where it seems like they just build on what they do and then they have an Avengers and then they build and then they have an Avengers. At this point, they really are at a junction where I feel like they're kind of in uncharted territory.
Well, I think they know what they're doing. But
I
don't
hope
know.
so. I hope so.
Oh, I have no doubt. I mean, you don't get 22 movies in without having a solid strategic plan in place. So I'm not worried about them not having a plan. I'm not worried about them not executing the plan because they've proven they can do it. I mean, they made something as far-fetched as Guardians of the Galaxy work.
Yeah.
Boy,
that might have been my favorite of those.
That was such an
movies.
out there sort of
it
movie
was so fun and it was such an not obscure comic, but it just wasn't one that everybody knew about.
Right.
And
Prior to that, you had everything on Earth, and everything was kind of rooted in reality, and we threw all of that out the window with that movie. So,
well, it helps when you hire arguably one of the hottest commodities around and Chris Pratt to be your main guy.
well, and you've got Bradley Cooper and
Yeah,
Vin Diesel
yeah.
doing voice work, and you've got
But I would argue Chris Pratt was big in like sitcoms and stuff, but he wasn't an action star.
No, he
No, he wasn't.
know,
because
so
this
I
was
think-
before Jurassic World
Mhm.
and all that. I still wouldn't mind him being like the next Indiana Jones. I could see that work.
It could
Yeah.
work.
He's got the snarkiness.
Yeah.
and,
Give him a fedora.
Yeah.
And hatred of snakes.
Right.
Yeah.
I could see it.
and a bullwhip.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the Captain America thing,
Mhm.
the shield was a different shield. I mean, obviously, right?
Sure.
Because
Thanos just wrecked the other
Thanos
one.
wrecked his. So the question that a lot of people are asking is, well, where did this shield come from? A couple of possibilities. So Wakanda basically opened their doors to the world in 2017. He could have just gone over there and been like, guys, I need a shield to give to my bud because he's going to be the next Captain America.
You just had Shuri make him a new shield, right?
Yeah. Other possibilities. I've heard this. Well, I read this and I tried to go back and find it to learn a bit more about it today, and I couldn't. But apparently in some other alternate timeline, Sam Wilson's father was actually Captain America, and the speculation was, well, maybe Steve Rogers went to that timeline, and when Sam Wilson's dad was going to hang up the shield, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to take this to your son." No idea. I don't know anything about that particular Earth, but that was interesting to me. So let's see, and then I saw something from Anthony Mackie about how he learned that he was going to become Captain America, and I thought it was neat enough that I would share it. So he was surprised. By fate, he learned this information from none other than Chris Evans himself. He stated in an interview, we were at his house and Chris goes, "Are you excited?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And Chris Evans says, "What, you don't know?" And he jumps up, runs out of the room, and comes back with the script. We cried, we drank, we laughed. I'm very happy I got that moment with Chris for him to not only pass me the shield, but to tell me it was happening.
That's cool.
So, yeah. And then the other piece of that I found very interesting was the end of Infinity War, was just after the snap.
Yep.
Initially, the script had that film ending as soon as Thanos got all 5 stones. So the snap would have been the beginning of this movie.
Oh, sure.
But they felt that having the snap at the end of the last movie and seeing everybody disintegrate into dust would be a better cliffhanger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which
I would agree.
I'm glad they went that way.
Definitely.
No, again, I kind of trust their judgment at this point. It felt like well, obviously, movie 22, you've done a couple things right in that same time frame. So,
yeah. So I don't know. Overall, I think this was the perfect bookend to the Tony Stark, Steve Rogers phase. Was really bummed out to see Black Widow go out because let's be honest, she was badass.
Yeah, she was.
And we still don't know a lot about her, so the prequel will
help. That's going to be
story.
One of those that I go see because I've been excited about the concept of a solo movie of hers for a long time. But we have Doctor Strange, we have Spider-Man, we have Captain Marvel, we have Guardians of the Galaxy, we have Black Panther, we've got more Ant-Man and Wasp, I assume.
Yep. We'd have
to. And there are movies on the docket that with characters I don't think I'm familiar
with. The Eternals.
With. They're doing the Eternals, and they're doing basically
that's awesome.
Marvel's version of Iron Fist. I don't remember what it is. So, but Josh, do you know? No pressure.
We're waiting.
He hasn't said anything yet. Your window's closing.
And I thought the credit scene in Guardians 2 hinted at Adam Warlock as coming in.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of speculation coming in that he would be involved in Endgame.
Oh, really?
In some respect, because he would be the only one that would have the wherewithal to stand up to Thanos with all the Infinity Stones. Josh is like, yeah, there's multiple universes in the Spider-Man trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is, which is crazy.
Mhm.
You always think the multiverse and you think like DC, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that they're starting to introduce that here, I think, is really cool.
Yeah.
I am excited. One thing that will be different with movies going forward is, the incorporation of X-Men, Deadpool, into the Marvel collection.
Yeah.
Since they were owned by Fox before, and now
Yeah.
they've been brought in. It's like I think they were too late on the some of the rights there for this movie, but we'll see what happens.
Well, do you think? I think wasn't Fantastic Four a Fox property?
I
Do you think they'll go
so.
back and do something with that? Because Doctor Doom would be another great villain
I
or
mean,
character that
yeah,
they
So,
could bring
so
into
here's
it.
the thing: I do not trust Fox, and I do
No.
not trust Sony to do a Marvel movie.
No.
I mean, I think they lucked out with Logan.
Well, and how
Mhm.
smart was it when Sony or which one owns Spider-Man?
Sony, yeah.
When they did finally say, you know what, we should probably work together on Spider-Man from here on out, and they brought the universes together, and then that's when Spider-Man really worked well.
And if anybody's got the money to bring
Spider-Man.
No, Hugh Jackman out of
back.
retirement for a Wolverine Deadpool team up, it's
Mhm.
going to be Disney.
Oh,
So
I thought you were going to say Ryan Reynolds, but that would work
well, I
too.
mean, he might be able to do it just out of sheer charisma.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Their shorts, by the way, are amazing.
Oh yeah.
Like they're digital shorts, not like their pants shorts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was with you. I
I blame the Espresso Totalitarian.
Shut up and drink more. Good job. So the last thing I had that I wanted to end with was the fact that there was no post-credits scene in this movie, which is a first.
Yes. Now, again,
Excuse me.
I think this is where you could see this one of two ways, because I think the overwhelming idea is that it is the sound of Iron Man creating a suit.
Yeah, I mean, you got that soundbite of him like hammering the forge from the
Yep.
first one when he's in the cage, kind of signaling like, "Hey, this is the bookend." To
Well, I think
this
the
world, right?
Russos or Feige or somebody said that this is the last chapter in this collection of stories.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing that we're trying to lead into from
Right.
here.
Okay,
So we aren't
yeah.
going to
So
tease
they said-
anything.
Yeah,
Sure.
No, and that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
It's just, for us to have 21 movies
Yeah.
where you've always stayed for
Yep.
an end scene or two, and then to have nothing.
Yeah.
I had heard there was a soundbite.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I knew there was no scene, but I'm like, I wanna hear what the soundbite is, and it
They've
was-
confirmed that that
Yeah.
was Iron Man, or was Tony creating the suit.
It was Tony. So my thought was, again, with the scene at the funeral where it was the kid from Iron Man 3,
Mhm.
is he creating a suit?
Or is this going to be something where we see like Pepper bring him in?
Yep.
Yeah.
That would work too.
Josh wants to know if we saw Venom and if we liked it.
I didn't see Venom.
I didn't.
I didn't either.
And I heard.
Here's the thing. I don't like Tom Hardy.
Oh,
So
well, I would say I don't like Tom Hardy, except my wife took one of those BuzzFeed article quizzes that said which British celebrity would you be married to,
yeah.
and she got Tom Hardy. So I feel like I should like Tom Hardy at least to a certain degree,
Or you should be jealous of him.
or I should be jealous.
Yeah. Alicia did one of those as well, and it was
Mhm.
like which celebrities are your husband or something like that. And
Yeah.
it's like Robert Downey Jr. and Chip Gaines, and she was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much me."
That's a really
Nice.
odd combination, but
Accurate.
good thing you're better looking than both of them
I know.
combined,
I know.
And more successful.
and more successful.
That's right.
Yeah. Neither one of them run a podcast.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And they don't live stream on YouTube.
Woo!
So anyway,
But
no, great way to cap this off. I love, a lot of people complain. It's like, well, if you haven't seen the other 21 movies, you're going to be lost. I'm like, then see the 21 movies.
Yeah.
This is not something that you're just going to go and just enjoy. This is like 10 years of payoff.
Oh yeah.
Right? So
this was the best fan service capstone to a series that I've ever seen. There's literally never been a movie series that has had more organic just fan service than this. It just felt like they really tried to do the justice to the people who were going to see the movies.
So, question. No, it is not because of Nemesis that I don't like Tom Hardy. I just think he's...
Oh, I forgot. He is a Nemesis.
Yeah, he was Picard's clone. Yeah. I'm not a fan. I don't know. He was great as Bane because his face was hidden and his voice was muzzled, but I just want to punch him in his stupid face.
Wow.
And then he would wreck me.
Yeah, he probably would.
Does Robert Downey Jr. deserve an Oscar for what he's done in the last 10 years? There's a lot of talk about this. I personally don't care because I don't like the Oscars. Sorry, Josh. But
I would think, well, okay.
Yeah.
Does he want one?
Unfortunately, if I can, that's a good point. Does he want one? Or does he need one?
Does he need one? No, he makes 50 million. He made 50 million for appearing in 15 minutes of Spider-Man.
What they say his back end percentage on Endgame? I can't remember. He made like 75 million in its opening weekend.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah,
but
I need to be friends with him.
I know.
But my thought is,
You're not?
No.
Can I make an NBA comparison?
Sure, please do.
Okay, so usually the MVP in the NBA is the best player from the best team, or it is one of the better players from the best team. With how Marvel,
like Michael Jordan,
you
not LeBron. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm gonna shut
up. Space Jam. We should record one of our episodes on that. Anyway,
not so sure.
Maybe not.
No.
We can fix that.
We're
live.
Dang it!
I can fly.
No, I got the new one with LeBron. We can critique it and compare it with the Michael Jordan one. Anyway, my thought was,
I'll probably be sick that night. But sorry.
That's like a year and a half down the road. Man, you're so good at calling that. But my thought is usually the MVP to a sports team is the best player, one of the best players on the best team. Given the fact that this movie made so much money, there's got to be an Oscar handed out at some point to this movie.
But the Academy hates superhero films.
So Black Panther got the nomination, but that was the
not
first
the win.
major nomination for a Marvel film, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Besides like visual effects.
Yep.
But there's not been an acting or directing or screenwriting or any of those given out to a Marvel movie, right?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So I will be shocked if he makes the list.
I think he'll at least get a nomination.
My opinion of the Academy can be registered in negative numbers. So
yeah.
But I feel like they'd be remiss if they didn't at least acknowledge the fact that he is the biggest, while he's wrapping up a film career in arguably one of the most important film franchises in the last ever.
Yeah. So we're gonna pause for a second because Alex has joined us on our stream.
Oh,
he wants
awesome.
to know if this is a review for Avengers Endgame. Alex, I would say this is kind of a review, but just more of a discussion of things we liked. We ended up talking quite a bit about the time travel aspect and how that worked, and like branching alternate realities and crazy shit like that. Most of that is now in the past, and unless we have quantum suits and some PIM particles, we're not going to be able to go back and replay that for you. But the cool thing about YouTube is it saves all this and it throws it out there. So if you feel like checking it out later,
and please do.
Yeah. What he said. Because if you don't, this hammer might fall, hit him on the head. I don't think that's going to end well. So for Brian's sake, you should probably do that.
That'd be awesome. That said, maybe we should end in a final. All right,
3-part harmony.
You don't want that.
Okay, but out of 5 stars, what would you rate this?
Oh man. It depends what your criteria is.
Mhm.
Like, as the culmination of everything we've seen so far, it's high. It's 4.75 to 5.
Mhm.
Chip, what do you think?
I'd have to go right in there too, because when you look at, it's 11 years of movies culminating into this one final chapter, and there's nothing in it that didn't work. I mean, it all played out well. I still, the characters are great. It's close to a perfect movie within this universe. So
Absolutely.
I would give it a 5.
The one drawback that I had was that I didn't have a clear understanding of how time travel worked in the Marvel universe based on the movie. But I think what they're trying to do is so complex, obviously, that it's tough to explain unless you have like visual aids. So I'm fine with that. I went and did some research later, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good.
Yeah. When I let you do that research for me,
Yeah,
so I
I
didn't
mean,
have to do it.
That's right. Did you want my cheat sheet?
Well, I thought you were going to make a prettier copy of it at some point.
Yeah. Well, we can always take the screenshot off of the YouTube video here.
No, because nobody can read my handwriting. I'll put it in PowerPoint.
Even Chris.
Or Visio.
Or no, I don't have Visio.
Oh.
They don't give me access to that at work. Yeah. Licenses cost money.
Yes, they do.
Anyway.
Yeah, but you don't work for Marvel then.
No. You have to worry about money. Clearly,
No,
not
they're
a
putting their
Marvel
own
employee.
right now. So what did you rate it?
I really like this. As far as a fan film, like something that was made for the fans, I really like this. And I'm guessing some people might disagree with me, and hopefully they post their responses.
Notice he's not giving a number.
I would say between 4.75 and 5, and
I think I heard somebody else say that.
Leading closer to 5.
Well, so it's kind of interesting that we landed on the same number for this and on the beer rating.
Ooh, wow.
So I think we're 2 for 2 tonight.
Good for us.
Good for us. Yeah. Is there anything we would like to say to these fine people that are watching before we leave? Alex, I see you dropped off. We do hope you come back and visit us again because, hey, we love talking at you.
We are the Doctors Who podcast? Livecast?
Do something?
Yeah.
We should maybe tease what we're going to do next.
What are we doing next?
Well, we talked about going back to our roots a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I think next up, we're each going to come up with our favorite Doctor Who episode.
Oh.
And our next 3 episodes are going to be diving into those and discussing those and doing that, right?
I like it.
Did we say that, or did I just make that up?
No, I think we've talked about that.
Okay, good. Because sometimes I make things up and I don't realize it. So,
do you have conversations in your head?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I have that problem too.
Yeah. What about you, Brian?
Maybe. No, I figure between.
Oh, Thanos has joined us.
Oh, fantastic!
And Thanos says, "Damn, he really went for the head." he did. You know that
yes,
Thor guy?
He did.
He's a jerk.
Thank
Granted, he's got some psychological baggage and he's probably got some mental problems, but
he might be a little drunk.
Probably a little drunk too. Thanos, we're very sorry for the loss of your head.
Although Thanos, to be honest, I really liked your character's persona in the movie The Goonies. Way back when. So good job on that. Kudos on your great film career. Loved you in Endgame.
Yeah,
keep it up.
And
we'll see you in Dune.
Your appearance on Stephen Colbert.
Oh yeah,
show was quite good.
Reading Trump tweets.
That
was fantastic.
Voice. Love that. So anyway, thank you, Thanos. With that, thank you for joining us. What?
Oh, Thanos is great.
Oh, Thanos! All he wanted to do was eat his space potatoes.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
kind of had like his own garden and
Right.
stuff. And
I mean,
so this brings up a question.
okay.
Because I don't want to prolong the.
Are you okay, Brian?
casting.
I've had 2 of these totalitarian. Oh my gosh! I've had
Spit
2
it
of the totalitarian beers. They're fantastic. Go ahead, Jim.
I hear they go great with space
I was
potatoes.
just saying, they kind of alluded to it, you know, when Steve Rogers said something about seeing whales in the harbor and the cleaner air. It's like, was what Thanos did really wrong?
Right.
The intent was
Yes.
the intent there
That's a good
that was
point.
right, but the resulting
Yeah.
world was better. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think that's what I liked about it too, is that he wasn't acting out of pure evil or domination
No.
or trying to. He wasn't a Bond
he was
villain trying
convinced
to
he was doing the
control
right
the world.
thing, and you could tell in Infinity War that he didn't particularly like what he was doing,
No.
but he felt it was necessary.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. I love
And
the
I
fact.
think when we were at Comic-Con, we saw a mug that said maybe Thanos has a point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Thanos, we're sorry you were denied your space potatoes.
Wah, wah. Yeah. So I'll have a moment of silence for Thanos and all of his minions.
And he said he'd do it all again for space potatoes. So,
They must be good potatoes.
yes. Thanos, if you could please send us some space potatoes, we would love to try them ourselves because they sound amazing. So, all right. Got anything else?
I'm good.
Thanos may have been right. Endgame was awesome. We really like the beer, and we will see you next time. And we would have a dramatic cutoff, but I have to walk across the room and actually terminate the live recording. So,
Allons-y!